This is Brad, coming back with more pickled punks.
There's a literary parallel in the novel The Portrait of Dorian Gray.
I'd like to hear this.
Yes.
Would you like to hear it or not?
No, you don't want to hear it?
Yes, please go on. I'm fascinated by The Portrait of Dorian Gray. It's always been a story that I've loved.
Go ahead.
And all of its various interpretations.
I don't know a lot about the book, but I think the gist is that the main character doesn't age, or he stops aging.
What happened? You bring up the Dorian Gray and you don't know the Dorian Gray?
I guess so.
The concept behind Dorian Gray is he has a portrait of himself, and
it's a picture, not a mirror.
It's not a mirror. It's a painting. It's a portrait. And Dorian Gray goes through his life and does not age, does not get sick. No harm befalls him. If someone stabs him, he survives. It doesn't matter. But his portrait sustains all the damage. The only limitation to it is that he cannot look at the portrait. If he looks at the portrait, and in the end of the book, he looks at the portrait, and everything that has happened to him over his various lifetimes is all of a sudden thrown back onto him because he has observed the portrait. But there's been a lot of different interpretations of Dorian Gray. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the movie, had Dorian Gray in it. The Showtime series Penny Dreadful had Dorian Gray in it, although, at least for the amount of the series I've watched so far, he was able to look at his portrait. But yeah, basically the portrait removed anything that would happen to him physically would be absorbed by the portrait instead.
There's also the story of Narcissus, who is a Greek lad who gazes at his reflection in a pool of water and is so taken that he dives in to try to kiss it, and therefore drowns. So there's some kind of psychological,
some kind of narcissism,
myth making associated with.
I've actually heard that story before. Yeah,
I mean, it's most of those myths can be used to explain psychological drives, or so. I'm just kind of thinking out loud of what our issue with our own reflection is psychologically.
Well, the only times I've ever dived into a pool of water was to embrace myself.
I'm kind of surprised that mirrors can reflect yourself in such accuracy and without flaw.
You know how in a mirror your reflection is reversed? Isn't that true? Like if you part your hair on the left, I wonder how they haven't come up with one that looks like you as you appear to other people. Like
a camera? Yeah, like new mirror technology.
Yeah, one where it's like
through a mirror and it looks just like me.
Yeah.
As one might imagine.
It would involve a large prism, but it could be done. But we'd end up with a mirror that was significantly thicker than you would expect a mirror to be, in the order of probably about 2 to 3 feet thick on the mirror.
So it can reflect around, come back down?
A prism will reverse. You'd have to have a set of prisms, one to bend the light to the left and one to bend it back to the right. Actually, you'd need 3, because you'd need one to bend it, another to bend it, and another to reposition it directly in front of you, which may actually put it back to the same.
Damn it.
Reverse. Yeah, that would bring you back to the same image.
Just so you can get that dirt off your face.
Yeah. My feet are in the air. This looks normal.
I just want a closer shave.
Wait a minute. I'm upside down. But yeah, not a practical solution. Why do I have food on my tripod?
So do we have any last thoughts on Oculus, or anyone who wanted to contribute any?
I enjoyed the movie. Partially due to the fact, actually, I watched the movie originally because of the actress playing Kaylee. Because I'm a big Doctor Who fan, and she was the companion of Doctor Who in 2 different seasons. She did a really good job playing that companion. Not as good of a job acting in this movie as she did in the Doctor Who TV series. But yeah, that was the main reason why I watched it. But it did turn out to be a movie that was a little bit different enough from all of the other movies, and the whole interfluxion of the timelines. Interfluxion, by the way, is a word that I just made up. So if you want to use that in future conversations, understand that people may not understand.
Can I interfluct?
Yeah. Yes, please interfluct.
Call Webster.
I thought you were going to interfluct. No. That's why I stopped talking.
I was impressed by the psychological nuance of the film. Like the kid Tim goes through all the therapy to come to terms with the past, whether it's a true coming to terms or an adaptive one just to help him survive mentally is another question. But the sister has a different interpretation, and through reliving the memories, they kind of change what happened. And I just liked all that kind of psychological bent. It was a different take than I can remember having seen in a horror movie before. Like, this movie wasn't about violence and gore and really even thrills. It was more like who's got access to the truth and who's seeing a falsehood. And I thought that was neat.
And to just a little bit here is that the part where the female bites into what she thinks is an apple and ends up being a light bulb, that was, the director actually wanted that to be not as gory. He just wanted it to be like that you saw her have, she what looks like picks up the apple, and then you hear the bite sound and you see glass on the floor, and that's it. He didn't want to see her pulling glass out of her mouth and, that sort of disgusting, sort of over-the-top gore. But the sort of producers were like, no, this is a horror movie. It needs to have that type of effect. And he said he had the decision on whether he wanted to put it in or not. I don't know if he did or it didn't. But I think that kind of is in the same vein, that it's like it's less of a, people losing their heads and getting them lopped off, and more of a psychologically horror type situation.
Almost a psychological thriller when you get down to it, kind of straying more that side than straight horror.
Yeah.
Brad.
I almost actually shit my pants because of Brian's incredible surround sound, but there was whispering.
Would that be the point where you almost ended up in my lap?
Yeah, I was in your lap. That was freaking scary. I just happened to be laying in front of the speaker, but there were some moments like that, but not a lot of, I guess what you'd call cheesy horror or gore moments.